Okay, I think we're ready to go. It looks like. Thank you, Colin, for your involvement and leadership and all your work. Colin's done a great job here, and we're here this afternoon to discuss the seating of a temporary leadership for this organization, which I mentioned and I know we talked about earlier, and I know many of you have talked to Colin about this. And now you know we're going to put in place an executive board of 10 mayors, one from each state touched by the Mississippi, as well as 2 additional co-chairs, one co-chair from each city above 100,000 and the other below that size. Over the past day or so, those of you who are interested in this board and the executive board have communicated your interest to Colin, and he has generated a slate based on discussions he's had with you. And so at this point, we can discuss it if necessary, and then go forward when we get to a point to vote on it. And also at the meeting, we're going to discuss. Just as a reminder, the leadership we seat today will be in place until next summer. And then we are planning to have our next annual meeting in June or July of 2013. At that time, we will vote on permanent bylaws for the organization and elect our executive body to serve for a full term. So this is kind of an interim organization that we're putting together. Being part of the temporary leadership structure does not preclude you from being elected next summer, and all mayors are equally eligible for that. And then ultimately, we are going to put together a bylaws committee here today as well to help work on a proposal for bylaws that will be discussed next summer. So there is, at this point, Colin was just writing down a slate. Is that correct? And I'm going to be reading names here. And of course, any comments, discussion is welcome. But he's got an executive board that would include Mayor Dennis Egan from Red Wing, Minnesota, Mayor Dave Hemmer from Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, Mayor Roy Buell from Dubuque, Iowa, Mayor Tom Hakst from Alton, Illinois, Mayor Joanne Smiley from Clarksville, Missouri, Mayor Dickey Kennemore from Osceola, Arkansas, Mayor Paul Winfield from Vicksburg, Mississippi, Mayor A.C. Wharton from Memphis, Tennessee, and Mayor Hiram Copeland from Vidalia, Louisiana. And those are the people that have been presented as interested in a executive board committee. Is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we're missing Kentucky, but there was someone, because we don't have anyone here representing Kentucky, and nobody has joined yet. Is that right?
We have 2 members of Kentucky, Wickliffe and Columbus. Columbus does not want to be on the executive board, and the mayor of Wickliffe is about to leave. His last day in office is next month. So he said, yeah. And his election has 6 people running for his office. So he said, just wait.
Well,
Mayor, if I'm in order, I'd like to move the slate and go from there.
Okay, there's a motion then. There is a motion that we have to approve the aforementioned slate of mayors to temporarily fill our executive board. And is there a,
Do we need to add it to
it's been moved and seconded by Mayor Eggemeyer of Chester, Illinois. Any discussion? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
We don't get to make campaign speeches?
Well, I said any discussion. Anybody wants to make a discussion? If not, we'll
solicit a contribution to my campaign fund.
All right. We've got the discussion underway now. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any other feelings here? If there's no no's, then we've got a unanimous vote, and we now have a 9-member executive board. And at this point, and then there are 2 individuals who have been and demonstrated an interest in being co-chairs, and that's me, Francis Slay, Mayor of the City of St. Louis, and also Dave Kleiss from St. Cloud, Minnesota. Do we have a motion in that regard?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Been moved and seconded by Tom Hakst. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Oppose, same sign. Okay. Looks like unanimous vote again, so we do have an executive board, and we do have 2 co-chairs, so thank you all for agreeing to provide your leadership, and look forward to working with you. And I know we have a bylaws committee that we want to, how many people we want on that bylaws committee? What was the,
3.
yeah, okay. All right, the idea is we'd like to get 3 mayors, and if there are more that want to serve, that's fine as well, to serve on a bylaws committee. The committee will exist until the bylaws are presented to us at the next meeting. The sole responsibility will be to complete a working version of a charter document for MRCTI to operate within. Any mayor can be on this committee, and we only need 3. Is there any interest here for anybody serving on a bylaws committee?
The bylaws are written.
It's a draft.
In a draft form.
Yeah,
and so you'll have something to work with. It's just a matter of making that draft solid.
We want somebody to, I'm happy to do it too, but I don't want to, if anybody else wants to be on it, it's fine with me, just to get the thing going. And like I said, there is a proposed bylaws, but we want to make sure we have enough people looking at it so that it's, there's some scrutiny and there's some involvement as well. It's going to be nothing, arcane. It's not going to be anything that's going to be complicated.
Mayor, who's close by that if you have to get together, it's just a short jog? You and who else down here?
It doesn't really matter with the technology that we have nowadays to, get things sent around. We'll give everybody a copy. All of you we'll give a copy to, and if you have any comments, let us know that are part of the bylaws committee. And again, if nobody else wants to serve, I'll be happy to do it. I'm not, so does anybody else want to serve on it? Okay. Tom Hakst and somebody else, but everybody will get a copy, and everybody will be asking for your comments as well. But it'd be 3 of us, or even 2 of us, I guess. It's fine with me.
I'm sorry,
We've got 2 now, and
well, does that include?
that includes, yeah.
I'll be glad to.
Okay, we got 3. And again, if somebody else wants, I'm happy to give up my spot. I only did it because I didn't see a lot of people raising their hand really quickly, and I'm willing to do it. But everybody's going to have an opportunity to look at it and give comments. So we'll take the lead and put it together and make sure it's final, and then we'll present it for approval eventually at the summer meeting, which will be either in June or July. We'll get to you as soon as possible on those dates. All right, and. The bylaws committee has now been designated for those mayors on the bylaws committee. Just remind them that MRCTI is designed to, and I think we all agree, needs to be headquartered in a city along the Mississippi River, not in Washington, D.C. So whatever city that is there's a decision ultimately by this organization to place in which to place MRCTI will be important to the bylaws, as they will need to be written to satisfy the incorporation criteria of that state, ultimately. For instance, if mayors decided that Memphis was the place for MRCTI, would be headquarters, and the bylaw committee would need to be present in a draft form, and that ultimately at this point, we can come up with bylaws. It'd be very easy to take any set of bylaws and have it conform to the laws of the state, because I don't think the states differ a whole heck of a lot, and I think whatever we would require to meet the requirements of the state would not take much changes once we decide, and there's a decision where this would, I guess the headquarters of the organization would be. The executive board can decide where to place the MRTC later, and the bylaw committee can always adjust the document accordingly. But I wanted to mention it now. So basically, at this point, we just put together bylaws, and then once there's a decision on where the organization is going to be headquartered, we'll conform it to the state where it resides. So that should be very simple.
What's the most effective way to make that decision, where it should be headquartered?
You know, that's something I haven't given a whole lot of thought to, frankly, myself. You know, we probably want to put it someplace where, you know, it's easy to get in and out of. I don't know if we want to discuss that now. I don't really care. I don't know if you guys given any
I
thought
know
to it.
y'all probably prefer Osceola, but I'm gonna decline.
Why is everyone laughing?
But the obvious places to me are St. Louis or Memphis.
Yeah.
Of course, I would prefer Memphis because it's close to home.
Yeah.
And I would prefer Memphis because it's probably halfway up and down the river, but that's not to put your city down.
No.
Let
I'm-
me ask this question. If the headquarters is in Memphis or in St. Louis, that doesn't mean that we have to meet in Memphis or St. Louis every time, does it?
No.
That's just, so I don't, you know, it doesn't, personally, I wouldn't care which city it was in, but I would think that one of your two big cities here should be the
Yeah,
place that we have it, the headquarters.
I think, and then we, again, just to make sure that we stay of good accord, we can, in the bylaws, require that the meetings rotate so that no one feels that his or her area is at a disadvantage. And that can be specified in the bylaws. We would be more than glad to host it in Memphis. By the same token, I'll be happy with it here, but Memphis does have, I believe, for our purposes, a more central location.
Yeah, the thing is that what we're talking about is, and I agree with rotating the meetings, is the place where the executive director of the office, the main office, would be located, like Colin's office, right?
Right.
Would be wherever he would end up being, and so again, it's that decision should be made. Is there a reason? Do they require when we need to make that decision?
The terms of the grant were under the understanding that it would happen within 18 months from the organization's start, so that would put it in fall of 2013.
Okay, so we got a little time to talk. We could probably talk about where we're going to put it at the next meeting. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, we can have some discussions about that. But yeah, it doesn't matter to me where we put it, but because we will rotate the meetings, it's a question of, I guess, space available, where you would get it, and I guess we can look at opportunities in Memphis or St. Louis, and then there's a decision made, and if somebody else has an idea of where we can put it, we can do that as well. But we'll postpone that decision till a later date.
And I can give you some history in terms of the way the Great Lakes Cities Initiative did it. Their office ended up being in Chicago. Why? Mayor Daley basically said, I'll give you free space in City Hall. So, you know, the grant, the foundations were like sold, you know, they
We'll
said
put
that
the monkey
sounds
on.
good.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is look at our respective cities and see what the opportunities are, and if everybody agrees that it should be in one of those two cities, then Mayor Wharton and I can talk about, you know, what the opportunities are and what would be best for the organization, and I'm okay with either one.
And same here. We will.
Yeah, we'll work it out. We'll work it out. Okay, is there anything else we need to do today for the benefit of the organization and to satisfy the Walton family? Yes.
I have a question. What is our long-term prognosis, like when this grant runs out? Where's our funding going to come from?
That's a great question. The grant runs out from the Walton Foundation in February, basically, of 2013. Now, they were here, Maura was here, to see if this was going well and it was going to make a difference. Their agreement with the Institute was that if they thought it was doing well, mayors were coming together, and the organization was making a substantive change, then they would be interested in funding it for another year, Walton. So, as well as funding the Washington, D.C. launch in March. So they're very open to that. They want to have a conversation with us shortly after this meeting about doing that, now that because they wanted to see what was going to happen here before they made up their minds. But she left very pleased.
I think they should be impressed with what went on today. We had some great speakers,
Yeah, they were.
a lot of enthusiasm.
She told me she was very pleased, and that the foundation is pleased with the way the organization's progressing. So we also have other foundations that are interested in being involved in the organization outside of Walton.
Okay, is there anything else anybody wants to bring up before we move on to the next thing, or we adjourn? I think there's a little time.
I have one request,
Yeah.
Mayor. Next time we have a meeting in St. Louis, would you please make sure the Cardinals are going to be at home?
Yeah. We can do that.
I'm sure we'll take this up in the formation of the bylaws, but I do think that we should have within a development or some committee that will have an eye toward, we're not always going to depend on the foundation.
Yeah.
I know that impresses foundations. We don't want to just say, well, we assume you guys are going to take care of us forever. So there should be a committee that looks for ways for us to gain our financial.
Yeah, I do think and how much money we need to get it going, keep it going, and then what are potential sources for funding is a good thing we should probably take up as an executive committee, I would think.
Absolutely.
So, and we will. Anything else anybody want to bring up?
I would just, by acclamation, if we authorize the temporary membership to, over our names, immediately send some correspondence to the foundation, thanking them and letting them know of our enthusiasm, and let them know that we did vote on that here.
It's a great idea. So it's without any objection. We'll go ahead and do that by acclamation. Yes.
Thank you.
Very good.
Back in the lobby at 5:45.
5:45 for a walk over to our evening river showcase and dinner at 1 Metropolitan Square, which is only a short walk from here. It's a block and a half away. And, you know, this is something that I think you would all enjoy. There's going to be a presentation of our arch grounds and riverfront development plan. We did an international competition and design competition. We came up with a plan, and now we're set on funding it. And Walter Metcalf, who I asked to head this thing up, is a prominent attorney in town, and someone who's very, he's very engaged in civically as a civic leader, and he's got a lot of great reputation in town. He's heading up the effort, and he'll tell you exactly what's going on and how we plan to fund it and how we're going to get this thing done in a way that's going to be spectacular, that will cause more people to want to come to the arch grounds, to visit it, to stay longer, and to come back more often. So we've got this great asset down here, the riverfront, the river itself, and the arch grounds, and not enough people. We get 2 million people coming down and visit every year, but we know that there's a lot more capacity if it's easier to get to, more accessible, and easier to get into. And if there's more things to do while you're around the arch and around in the arch grounds, you'll see when you get there tonight. It's pretty spectacular, and we're very excited about the opportunities there. So 5:45 in the lobby, and
in addition, Mayor, the restaurant that will provide food for the evening is one of the top restaurants in town. So it is an Italian fare, but it's very good.
With a great view.
who's providing the food?